We now come to episode 5 in season 7, Gone with a Trace, and it's the first episode to feature the next arc about Ahsoka after she left the Order. Now, this episode for me I really liked. I still wouldn't say it is my favourite because there are a few issues that I found with it, but I'll get to that later. However, although this episode hands down has got more good things in it, and it is more enjoyable than not. So what happens? After Ahsoka leaves the Jedi Order, she is forced to go and live on the Coruscant underground levels and tries to find her own way through the galaxy. After an unfortunate incident with her hoverbike, she comes across a mechanic called Trace, and after Ahsoka finds out that Trace and her sister have a big debt owed to someone, she agrees to help them do this job and pay off their debt. However, this results in one of the droids that they are repairing going rogue and terrorising the underground levels, meaning Ahsoka and Trace have to track it down. So, overall I really like this episode. It was a great start to Ahsoka's arc. The first thing I noticed when this episode started is that the intro sequence is where the narration takes place. Shows clips from the previous episodes that Ahsoka was in with the classic art style and animation style. However, I was expecting to reanimate it to make it look even more like the current art style, because it looks a little out of place the way it is at the moment. However, this is just a nitpick, it doesn't really make that much difference, but you'll see in this review that that being different warrants comparisons being made between Season 7 of Clone Wars and Seasons 1 to 6. I'd also want to point out that Ahsoka's model looks really good in this episode, and as all of the other models do as well, as they're heavily based off of the classic Clone Wars episodes, and nothing has really changed much. It's obviously textured differently because the art style is different, however, it still looks really good. But something I did realise is that I didn't really notice before with the other characters, is that Ahsoka's mouth animations look a little bit weird, like her mouth is moving too quick for the words that are being said. Not so much that it makes the voice out of sync, but again it's weird, and again it's a little nitpick that I have, but everything else is perfectly fine, I've got no issue with it. I also love that Ahsoka was struggling to cope without the Jedi Order, and learning to survive on her own. And not as a Jedi, but as a civilian, because of the unknowing of what reaction she would get if she showed herself to be a Jedi. Which when she used the Force near the end of the episode, for some reason no one really paid too much attention to it aside from a little child. Now maybe that'll become a bit of a problem later on maybe, but I don't think it will, and if it doesn't, I just found that a little weird how nobody noticed it. I also love listening to Trace talk about how the Jedi have basically abandoned everyone on Coruscant because they're too busy going around starting wars, and Ahsoka's finding it hard to listen to her say that about people she once considered her friends. This is a really good way of showing how a lot of time you get only one side of the story, because all the people around you believe what they are telling you to believe. And only when you listen to a different side of the story, you've got to then learn that it's hard for you to accept to then come to terms with it. I certainly hope they explore more of this with Ahsoka, and she learned that what she's taught not necessarily is black and white as she first thought it was, like she learned about politics with Padme in the other episodes of the Clone Wars. Again, overall though, I really enjoyed this episode. It was a fitting start to Ahsoka's arc, and even though there were a couple of nitpicks in there that wasn't that big they ruined the episode for me. I am, however, looking forward to watching the next episode and finding out what happens to Ahsoka as she learns how life works in the underworld.